Hello, Richard Elliott with Wall Cloud Records. Hey, this video is going to be about a guitar called a Purple Rodan Black Blade Pterodactyl. Wall Cloud Records, and I'd like to introduce to you a guitar that I built myself. It's called a Rodan Black Blade Pterodactyl. Built the whole thing, or did I? I don't know, but let's listen to it. Actually, this guitar is a relatively inexpensive guitar made in China that is a very unique design. And when I came across it, I was like, that's kind of interesting. So here's the story behind it. So sitting next to me is a BC Rich Mockingbird. This is the BC Rich, this is the made in Korea version. I believe Korea. I can look. Maybe I better put my glasses on. Wow, that's pretty bad. Yes, so I'm second guessing myself, but yes, it's made in Korea, and the USA made ones are quite expensive. This one is a contour top, and it was also inexpensive, but try to find one now. BC Rich contour from about 2015 or 16. They're hard to find because they have a deep set neck. Everybody thought this was a neck through when they first came out. And they are it's an awesome guitar. Anyhow, the story goes like this. There was a gentleman named Ed Roman. You guitar players will know this story, maybe. I knew a little bit about Ed Roman because a friend of mine had told me he was going to this store back when he was in the Northeast area. So I'd heard of him. I called them in the late 90s, early 2000s about getting a BC Rich USA made Mockingbird. He was a distributor. I know none of this stuff to be real. I've just read stories. So if you want to fact check, you can do your own fact checking on this stuff. But it's an interesting story. Ed Roman used to build choppers, Harleys, stuff like that way back. At some point he got into guitars and he started making them. He had a store in the East, and then he moved to Las Vegas. I called them and asking them about having one because he was a distributor for BC Rich, but there's stories behind that. Stories are that he bought up a bunch of handmade BC Rich guitars. I don't want to get into all the conflict. There's a lot of conflict, though, if you read about it. So, I forget what year it was, but in the early 2000s, he came out with a model of his own called a Ed Roman, or a Roman rocking bird, shaped exactly like that. Now, they're expensive, thousands of dollars for those things. A lot of people think they're ugly. I think it's really crazy, unique. I don't know if I'd ever have the guts to play one on stage because it's flashy and it's really a metal monster. But I'm going to do something different with it. So there's also a rumor that he may have had factories in China making the guitars over there and then selling them here for a lot of money. I don't know if that's true, but when I saw this, which is a really obscure shape, I don't know how popular this shape was. I don't think it was very popular. I don't know how many people knew about it. Maybe more than I thought did. But when I saw it for sale from China, I thought, gosh, is there a possibility that he did have a factory and that they had the template for this? I don't know, because his were neck through. This is not a neck through. This is a set neck. So, if you have not purchased a guitar that's inexpensive from China, I'm going to say this. They have made me into wanting to become a luthier, to know how to work on my own guitars, because really everything is put together very inexpensively. The electronics, the whammy bar says licensed Floyd Rose on it. If you don't know about licensed Floyd Rose versus original or the real, call it real, there's a big difference. The metals that they use, a lot of the machining probably, things like that. Well, this is a Floyd Rose licensed. So it is what it is. The guitar, when it first came, when you would tune it, lock it down, and then use the whammy bar, it would go out of tune. And it would stick out of tune. So I took the back off and found that the place where the whammy bar actually goes was slightly rubbing against the wood inside here. And I took a Dremel and I dremeled it out and I fixed that. Then it wouldn't do that anymore, but the G string would stick. So I had to go up here in the nut and I wet sanded in there. And then I put just a little tiny bit of oil in there. I don't have any graphite or anything right now. And that kept that from going out of tune. The next thing was the frets along the edges were like razor blades. And then it got cold up here and we turn on the heat and it gets dry and the wood moves and the metal sticks out even worse. Seriously, like razor blades. So I learned how to do what they call a fret dress, or at least part of a fret dress on the edges of the frets with some files. There's more in the video later on about that. I actually show how I'm doing it, or I show how I do it. I am not a luthier, so I'm a guitar player that wants to know how to fix his own stuff. I'll show you more in just some other videos, but weird things like the pickup on one of the pole pieces, it's different. So it's just like pickups thrown together in a factory. They should be pickup mounting rings should be flat. These are not flat. They're set at like an angle. Now that could give the guitar a unique sound because the pickups are angled, but I'm not sure if I'm digging that. I think I want the whole pickup flat to the string, so I'm going to put new pickup plates. So I have another set of Anelco 5 pickups that I'm going to test because I bought them from China for like 20 bucks. All this stuff is, I mean, pretty inexpensive for a guitar. Once I fixed the frets and the whammy bar, it was now starting to play like a nice guitar. I also adjusted the neck a little bit with the truss rod. And then the monster showed its ugly head. I went to intonate the guitar. And for the most part, the saddles are moved as far forward as they will go. And on a Floyd Rose, once you get to the end, you have to start modifying if it's not able to be intonated. So, I set it up with the action, I straightened the neck the best that I could with a straight edge, and then I set the action where I like it kind of low, and there were a couple notes that were dying up here, but I can't really fit my hand up here anyway. I know that's kind of lame, but anyway, I put a little bit more relief or bow in the neck, just a little bit, and I also did it because the E string will not go, the saddle will not go towards the neck anymore. And when you hit the string and it's in tune, when you try to intonate, but then when you put your finger on the 12th fret, the note's flat. So that means the saddle's got to go this way to sharpen the note, and it will not go anymore. So I put a little bit more relief in the neck to create a little bit more distance between the string and the fretboard, and that helped. I got it, but it has no room to move. So it's intonated. It's not perfect. Up here in these registers, it gets a little sketchy. I mean, I'm pretty impressed. But that's because I did work to it. So you have to consider that. If you're going to buy an inexpensive guitar or a cheap guitar from China, they have a lot of potential, but you're going to either put your own time into it or you're going to go spend more money to make it right. But sometimes you find these interesting guitars and you can't buy a better one unless you have thousands of dollars. So my thing is that if Ed Roman did, there's rumors out there. I don't want to call rumors. I just don't know what's true. I don't know anybody that actually went through problems with him. I don't know. But if he was semi-counterfeiting BC Rich guitars by putting different serial numbers, and there's stories of him cutting the tops off of 1959 Les Pauls and putting other tops on them. There's crazy stories out there about what stuff he did. Don't know if they're true. Part of me understands wanting to be innovative, but I would want to tell somebody. I wouldn't want to do that and then like tell the customer you're buying an authentic, 1959 Les Paul when I cut the top off. That'd be bad. Anyway, so if he did any of those things, I kind of find humor in the fact that someone in China is bootlegging his model, and so I love the Mockingbird shape. This is just crazy shaped. I mean, look at that thing. That is just nuts, and you can really see when you look at it like this, and you can if you turn the Mockingbird sideways. This thing is crazy. You can see the design. And I thought, this is so radical that this is fucking Rodan. It's not a bird, dude. It's a prehistoric pterodactyl. And it's gonna stab you. Just look at that. Anyway, I know, but Honestly, I'm going to make a decal that looks like the Roman decal, and I'm going to say Rodan instead of Roman. And on the plate, if I can find somebody to do it, I'm going to call it a black blade pterodactyl. And for those of you geeks out there, black blade was what was the it was the sword by the author Moorcock. It was a character, and it was called Black Blade or Stormbringer. I forget which. It was definitely called Black Blade. I like it. Long story. So if you go to, you're playing and it's gonna slice you. It's bad. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to show that to you. You'll see that I have painter's tape on here. I'm gonna recommend that you look into some of this. I think it's tack tape. I don't know where you can get it at Stu Mac. It's a very special tape that won't pull the finish off of guitars. So this edge is very sharp. And I'm going to go like this with this file. There's a little bevel on there. So I'm just going to kind of get it on that bevel. And then I'm going to go like this. Now this is me doing it. I don't know how they do it, dude. So you might want to look this stuff up if you get into this. So I want to show you another thing. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but this file is a Stu Mac file. That other file is not. You can do what I just did with the Stu Mac file, but it's very small. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to do that. So I needed one a little wider just to start with. Okay, now this file is cool because this edge is flat. So it's like a square right there. There's a ridge. And there's a little indentation. But this side of the file has a round edge. So you can put that round edge up against the fretboard and it won't make lines in it. Now some of these lines that might show up in the video, like there's some lines in there. That's not from me. That's from wherever this came from. So, that's why I'm not as concerned about like if I make a couple scratches and stuff, because it's already got a few things right from the factory. Okay, so now I'm going to use this file and I'm going to rest it up against the fret. And as I go by it, I'm going like this. I'm kind of putting a little turn on it. So like that. I can also tell you that by working on this, I have found that I work better on the filing the fret with the file going away from me. So like technically, I would really rather be, like when I do this side over here, I'd rather be sitting over on the other side and go, you know what I mean? Going like this. So you kind of saw what I did. That guy is already good. Like I can totally go like this. All right, so I mean, really, I'll probably work it just a little bit more. So I'll just kind of gently though, just kind of smooth. And then I feel up on the fret. And then I'm going to use that round side again. And I'm just going to give it one more quick. Ooh, I probably might have overdid it on that one. Just a little bit. And oh, see, I'm not real steady, but okay, so that's good. That feels fine. I'm going to do the other side, and then I'm going to finish the other frets, and then I'm going to try using the micro pads, the really fine grit stuff, and see how smooth I can get that and polished. Okay, so I pretty much used this file to go like that. I did use this one to do some touch-ups on them, but I also went around, like I showed you in the video. So I showed you that video earlier where I took the paper towel and ran it along the frets, and it was all ripped up. So I'm going to do that. Look at that. You can see it wore in it a little bit, but it didn't cut it like a razor blade. I'm really impressed. It's probably not professional, like if I looked at it really close. I did look at it with the magnifying glass, and it looks pretty good to me. So I'm more concerned about how it feels, though. And that's awesome. I played it, and it's cool. So anyway, I used the files, but then I also started with a heavier grit. I can't see which one, but there's a code. There's a color code. I actually did use the 1500. I might not have needed to do that, but I did. I used it. I can't find it. It's in here somewhere. Anyway, I'm just going to basically show you. That might be it there. Nope. Yep. I think. Anyway, so I just ran it along. I'm not going to do it. And then I went to a lesser, finer grit. And then I went super fine on one of these. And it's very smooth, really nice. It's cool. Really happy with that. And it has this type of whammy bar. And I am not a fan of these because when you're recording, they rock back and forth. You can put a piece of plastic around this and it will keep it from doing that. But I got one of these from Sweetwater because when I had my Floyd Rose back in 1983, whenever it was, it had one of these, and I prefer these. You put these on, and these do not make a noise. These are like tight. You adjust it different, everything. I think this is my preference. Look at that pull piece. I don't know if you can see that. There's one different pull piece in the pickup. It's different than all the others. That's kind of funny. Oh yeah, and the finish was... See, the finish was already sort of crappy. See that right there? And... well, you can see it right there. It was already kind of like that. Well, when I pulled my painter's tape off, look at that. I am not worried about it. In fact, I like the way this looks right there. And I would prefer to somehow maybe tape this off and try to sand that stuff off at some point. I don't really care for that finish being right there. And then just keep it protected, you know. But I fine sanded that too so it doesn't bother your hand when it goes by. So I thought I'd get some close-up shots of this purple beast. I'm just going to call it the Rodan. It's listed as unusual shaped purple, guitar on eBay and stuff. It's kind of strange. But it's turned into actually pretty nice playing guitar. Yes, I had to do work to get it to that point. But I have been enjoying playing it, and which has kind of delayed making the video because I just wanted to play it. I didn't want to keep working on it. But now it's time to address a few things, and one of them will be the pickups. I don't want to put anything expensive in it yet. And but here's one issue that I'll show you. Let me turn this on an angle here. So this is odd because this could contribute to a sound of a guitar, right? It could give it a different tone. But see how the pickup mounting rings are at an angle? They are for a guitar that has a different neck layout. These need to be flat so that the pickup can be flat to the string, because right now the bridge end of the pickup that faces the bridge end is closer to the string, so that's going to give you that sound. So I'm going to replace those and the pickups. I have not even opened the electronics compartment yet. So we'll see. I don't know how much, if I'm going to do shielding and all that. I'm not really sure how far I'm going to go right now. They put these spider inlays in it. For it being inexpensive, they did a pretty good job. Really. I keep thinking of myself as like a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid that's... This thing might be cool for somebody that's really, you know, got to be a little flashy probably. But I'm surprisingly, I'm really happy with it. It's really a fun guitar. It's very fun, and it's, for the cost, it really is pretty well made. I don't want to criticize it. I think there's a little bit of luck involved in what one you get from the factory and stuff. I'm having a lot of fun with it. But it's metallic. It's an interesting metallic. I think it's kind of cool. It's pretty cool. Well, I've got the Rodan completely torn down. I polished the frets with mag cleaner. And I also, you won't be able to see, I'll have to do another video, but along the sides of the neck, the clear coat they put on was all chipping off and stuff. So I just went ahead and peeled it right off. Took a razor and cut it, and then I wet sanded it down. I'll try to show better in the video. It doesn't look great, but you know, I guess it looks okay. But yeah, I decided let's just tear it down and put the pickups in and do all that. One cool thing, before I tore it down, I put 5 springs on the back of the whammy bar, and it stays in tune now. So I don't think it was the blades or the post. I just think it needed more springs, more tension. Cool. All right. Well, I'm done for the night, so we'll start the rest tomorrow. Hopefully I finish tomorrow. Kind of want to be done with the project now. The more I work on it, the more I like it. Pretty cool. Well, here's a shot of the fretboard from the side. And like I said, it doesn't look... It looks pretty... Look, it looked really hideous before. So, I mean, I've got it with the bright light on it now. I like it better this way. It's still not great. I'm going to try to fill in some of those parts where I got through the paint. You know, color them so that you can't see. But it just looked really terrible before. All flaking off and stuff. And it feels great though. It's like wet sanded down. I also installed these, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Fluor? Really inexpensive pickups I bought. And I bought them specifically for this guitar. And I'm like, wait, do I like the black ones better? I ask myself that question all the time. Why do I always want to change a guitar? Some of it, a lot of it has to do with wanting to improve it, right? Improve the sound, improve the playability. But sometimes it's like, I want white pickups because it looks cool. But the guitar itself is absolutely growing on me. I see on the bottom of the hex, this comes with these kind of weird little tabs sticking out. I've read about this. Other guys have commented about it. Anyway, I'm going to cut those off because I'm having to put a little effort forth. I gotta, oh my gosh, see, I can't even do it with one hand, dude. Probably the thing that makes me like what I'm doing with this guitar right now. That's what I'm doing, so I'm cutting them off. And it's gonna make a little bit more room anyway under there. After you cut those, be careful handling that. Those darn things are sharp, man. I rewired the whole guitar. And it just was easier to, well, I don't know if it was easier, but I used a 500K alpha pot for the volume, and then a 500K alpha coil split. It's a double pull, double throw switch. But I kept the leads for the pickups really long in case I ever take them out and put them in something else. I am installing an original Floyd Rose tremolo arm on this pretty inexpensive licensed Floyd Rose. I'm not a fan of this style, this coupler thing with the nylon. I'm always having to put plastic in there and then it eventually wears out. So I'm putting the original Floyd Rose on. I'm not going to really do a lot about how to install that in this video. There are videos out there if you need to, but one thing I would say that I have found, because when I took it apart, my washers and stuff all came apart. I'm sure that the bar came with those installed on it, and that's probably how you're supposed to install it, but they fell out and I couldn't remember the placement. I have another Floyd. I kind of looked to see how I did that one. Here's how I did it. There are 4 washers, 2 metal ones and 2 nylon ones. One metal one has a little thing that fits into an indentation into the threads on the back. I installed the metal washer first, then the nylon, and then on the back I installed the nylon and then the metal and then the nut against the metal. That's how I'm doing it. I think that's the right way.